Hello there. My mom asked if I wanted her to braid my hair, and I said no first, but then I realized how nice to do some people braid your hair, so I said yes. It's November, and this year turned out to be nothing like I thought it would be, or dreamed it would be, or wished it would be. It was such a terrible year when it comes to mental health and anxiety, and I'm not just talking day-to-day normal anxiety. I am talking really severe anxiety disorders, really severe panic, agoraphobia, and OCD, and generalized anxiety, and just dissociation. When the year began, I was battling pretty severe depression as well. I've been really ill for I'm not sure, it was a few months, and I've been in and out of hospital. This year I've been in and out of hospital so much. I've actually stayed out for a while now just because I can't go back because it's so triggering. So I try to just, when I'm in crisis, I try to just deal with it on my own, or just wait it out. That's been okay for now, but yeah, I just can't go back because of how triggering it is there now. I was there a lot at the beginning of the year, and it was such a horrible time. Yeah, so this year this just didn't turn into anything I wanted, but I try not to beat myself up about it because it wasn't really in my control. Like, I couldn't. At the end of the day, you can try your best and you can stay positive and you can do your skills and whatever, but at the end of the day I was so ill that none of that really hit the spot. I could do all the coloring and sleep meds, and at the end of the day I was just so ill. It's like when you have a cold, you can drink hot beverages and rest, but you can't really decide that now I'm going to stop having a sore throat, or now I'm going to stop having a fever. That's just something that takes time and is out of your control. Obviously it's going to help if you nourish your body and rest, but I feel like I've had, say I had a cold, I've had a cold with a fever, and so this is metaphorically or symbolically, but I had a cold with a fever, but I can't rest, and I'm just standing out in the rain and it's freezing and I'm already sick. That's like what it's been like. So I was already sick and everything was just not in my control anymore. It does something to you when you hypervent for weeks, months straight, and my pulse was through the roof. Everything was just terribly exhausting. But yeah, I mean, sorry, that was so me. Such a sub story. Like, kind of hard to think that that's what's happened this year. I feel like it was just November, like last year, so I'm not quite sure what happened. But the thing is, I haven't wasted it on anything because I have really been trying every single day. Like, I haven't just been wasting it. If I've been on TikTok and spent a whole day on TikTok, that wasn't wasting it. That was trying to freaking handle and cope and get through the day so that tomorrow I can better, because sometimes I'm just in crisis and that's all I can do. Yeah, I don't think January was very well, February was horrible, and March was horrible. April was really rough. I went to residential for a catch up, and I got so triggered by just walking into that room again. I ran off. It was pure flight response. I ran off and took the bus home, like 2.5 or 3 hours alone. It was like a taxi, 2 buses and a train and a bus. And I actually tried really hard for a month or two. I just tried really hard. I wasn't very well. I had a lot of panic. Just really high activation all the time. I've been on, I think I counted 9 medications this year. So at this point I was at like 2 antidepressants and 1 antipsychotic, and so at the beginning of the year I was actually on something equivalent to, is that the word? Something sort of like a Xanax, is a benzo, but just it isn't Xanax, it's something else. A benzodiazepam, but then I got really ill in February, so I got put on even more. I was on two antipsychotics, 1 anxiety benzo medication, and 2 antidepressants at one point. At once. It was crazy. And then in June we went to Denmark, and I was kind of just stuck on that vacation. That's really how I felt it. I was stuck. Couldn't relax. I had panic attacks every single evening and during the day. The whole thing felt like a big, huge, fat anxiety attack. I never rested. Even when I went swimming, which is my favorite thing to do, I couldn't rest. We went to a spa. I was sitting in the pool trying to relax, and I felt so uneasy. And I checked my pulse, and it was 135. And that's me doing jumping jacks. I was sitting in a relaxing pool at a spa, and this was for the entire time we were there. It was so exhausting. When your heart beats that fast, you get so out of breath because you need more oxygen, right? It felt like I was working out and I couldn't make it stop. Oh my god, that's exactly it. Felt like I was working out and I couldn't make it stop. That's how the whole year has felt. I even remember, I think in May or April, my doctor got a bit worried because my heart was just acting up so much. It was just anxiety, but they didn't know that. So I already ended up in the emergency room because I thought I had a heart attack in February, and then we did an AKJ, and it was fine. But then I was sent for another one because it was just weird, you know. It was just strange that my pulse was so high for so long. My Fitbit registered I was working out for 8 hours a day, which is insane. Imagine running, imagine like just sprinting. Imagine sprinting for 8 hours. And I just tried to hang on for dear life in June and July. I came back. We had to leave a day early because I couldn't cope anymore. I was at breaking point. I've never been so ill and scared, and like I was so afraid. One of the worst times in my entire life. And on the boat back, I had such bad panic attack. I think the boat was like 4 hours or something, 4.5 hours. I don't remember, but yeah. We were just sitting there, and there was nowhere to retreat to. We were sitting just in a public area, and there was so much noise, and we were stuck on a boat, and I had such a hard time relaxing. I was so out of breath. My pulse was so high. I was sweating. I was all clammy. I was all wet. You just see the video of my forehead, my face just like wet. None of my techniques worked. Nothing. I took a sedative medication and it didn't work. So, but at the end, my mom just called for a doctor on the boat. So we got put in the they have like little like on a hospital room, or like a little mini emergency ward. it's just a room, really, like a nurse station. I got put in there, and then it actually calmed down a bit. And then we went to the hotel. We had to stop in Sweden before we could go home. So we went to the hotel, and I was so terrified. My whole body was just like this. I couldn't relax. I felt like I was just holding on for dear life. I just wanted to get into a safe zone. Like, this is how severe agoraphobia is. I was just holding on for dear life. I barely dared to move. Nothing. I went to the hotel room. I passed out from exhaustion. Mom came with some food. I ate some. Passed out from exhaustion again. You know, it's just you just wake up sweaty, and immediately upon waking up, my pulse went up to like 120. I woke up, realized where I was and what was happening. My pulse was 120 or more, just up. Then we took the bus home. That actually went okay. It was raining, which was really helpful. It was ASMR in real life. And then I immediately was admitted to hospital again. And this time I was so freaking ill. They actually prolonged my stay because they were so worried. I was really depressed. I just I was sobbing the entire time. I didn't eat anything. I didn't drink anything. I didn't want to talk with anyone. I didn't even look at people. Like, if they came into my room, I didn't even turn to look at them. I was so done, and I was so suicidal. I was just like, oh, I want to get out of here so I can go kill myself, because this is no life. Like, I can't bear this. This is horrible. It's been going on for so long now, and just after this year, like, I think I was so, after February, March was just such a traumatic experience. Yeah, I was just like, no, this is not worth it. Like, the pain I'm in is extreme. The emotional, emotional and mental pain, and just my body was so freaking exhausted. The pain was extreme. And then I came home. There was this comment that been put on my TikTok I think in June, but I missed it, and I never miss comments there. But it was someone that commented about Clary Vickers, so I searched her up and I listened to the Pass Through Panic that lesson, put that on YouTube, and then I bought her audiobooks, and it was incredible. It was 100% what I needed. It felt like, oh my god, I don't even know how to describe it. It felt like a light bulb was just turned on, because it was so dark, you know, it was so dark after being in that anxiety hell for so many months on end, or years actually, but like really, 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 really bad for the last months. And I was so brave. I went from barely even daring to leave my bed to going out and taking the bus and doing structural and gradual desensitization with Clary Weaker's technique. And the best thing about it was that it worked, which was incredible. It's November now, but the steps in the right direction when it comes to agoraphobia recovery, and really panic as well, are huge. I wish I could tell July me that, February, March me. If I went up to February me when we were sitting in the emergency ward, I had been discharged from hospital, and I went straight from hospital to the emergency room, and I sat there they forgot about me, like I wasn't on any list. At first I was like code red, so I just waited for I think 30 minutes or less than that, and then I did an EKG and a lot of tests. They were fine, so at that point I fell off the lists. I wasn't on any list. We actually asked 3 times, and I said yeah, she's up soon, but they were just saying that, like they hadn't checked. So at one point my mom came, because I was with my friend and we've been sitting there for like 6 hours. My mom came and she asked, and she was like, no, but can you check the list? And then the nurse came back, she was like, she isn't on any list. And my mom was like, are you kidding? And then we got seen pretty fast by the somatic doctor. So I've only been at the psychiatric emergency, like the psychiatric part of the emergency room. But the somatic, they treat you so much better when you're at the somatic, like when you're in there for somatic things. Because I was in there for a heart attack, or like they thought it would be a heart attack, so they asked me to come in. It's just something about when your pulse is this high for so freaking long. But yeah, so, and then we saw a somatic doctor, and I told her that they told me to go to the emergency room and get referred back if I needed, which it looked like I needed. But then she called the hospital, and there's so much miscommunication. So the hospital was like, or the doctor that had discharged me was like, no, we'd never said that. I wasn't talking about her, right? But then I burst into tears. I was like, you know what? I am in absolute misery. Like I've never been more miserable in my entire life. And if you send me home now, my mom will have to call an ambulance on me later tonight. I've never been more miserable. And it's just going to be a really, really long night for everyone. I'm just like begging you, please, please admit me, because I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how, like, look at me. I was like this that entire day, and I'd been already for like three weeks or something. I've been like this. When I came into hospital, the warden had said like, you look absolutely awful, like it's good you came here, it looks like you have freaking, you know, you seem so distressed, you look absolutely awful. I hadn't slept for days, I hadn't sat down, and I hadn't slept, I hadn't eaten, I hadn't relaxed, I hadn't, you know, I've never been more miserable in my entire life. I was less miserable when I was severely depressed and like delusional than at this point. You know, anxiety is just, it's terrible. You know, it's the worst for me. It's absolute worst. And she looked at me, the doctor at the emergency room. She looked at me and she was like, "Well, you definitely look miserable." like you look really, really miserable, and I will override whatever the hospital said and we'll send you back. Because yes, you're right, like I can't send you home. This is ridiculous.